Hey everybody, it's Erin Reed from Erin Reed Makes, and welcome to Card Making Wednesdays. Today I'm going to show you 3 separate cards where they're all about flowers. So we're going to use die cuts to make three different types of flowers and 3 different flower techniques. So without further ado, let's get started. We're going to start this all over again. I got to get my brand thing up. Woo-hoo! All right, so down here are the 3 cards. Sorry about all that. Thank you guys for letting me know I did not have sound because that is no fun. All right. Yes. Hello, everybody who's gotten on. Okay. So here we have all of our cutie cards. So we have a mini slimline card, and this one's got a beautiful set of flowers. And I feel like my focus is just a little tiny. There we go. That's a little bit better. So here's a Merry Christmas card, super, super cute card. This one is doing a very plain and kind of simple. But it's kind of like an offset card. So this is a pinched card or a palm flower because we're using our palm to help set it off. This one's an offset flower and this one is a scrunched flower. And the cool thing about this card is it's also a clear card. Those are starting to make a little bit of a comeback in the card making industry. So we're going to start with the simple one here. Okay, we're going to go through each of them. Don't worry. So for this one, we're going to use a few products from Dress My Craft. I grabbed this really, really sweet. And as always, all the supply links are down below. So make sure you check that out. So we're going to use this really sweet paper pack. And do you see like it's got this rainbow on there? Any cutie papers would work really fun for this, but you could also go with elegant papers. I could have taken the papers we did here on here, and I could have made my flowers. I could have had a craft background card. I could have gone with craft as the color and then picked colors that matched within the paper, and it would work as well. I went with the cutie route because I just loved it. The rainbow, something about this rainbow just was like, yes, must use that. It was too adorable. So pulled that really, really sweet papers from here. And then I've got to find my, here it is. I have my container all ready to go. So first step is I just went ahead and cut a little banner. And I think any kind of rainbow paper, truly any kind of beautiful pattern paper you just want to show a little bit of would be perfect for this. So I'm going to take my tape runner and just line it up. And this little strip is, I'm going to open this up just so I get a really good line here. Hello, we got Susie, Trisha, Wendy, Danielle, Anna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello. How is everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing good. All right, so here we have this little strip right here. I did it as 1 1/4. I started with 1 1/2. It didn't quite work, so I went with 1 1/4. So 1 1/4. And then I have all my really pretty die cut flowers. So for each flower, because I wanted to match the colors in my rainbow. So whatever paper you pick here, match the colors. So I have a big one in white and then one in color for every single one. So if you can tell, like I picked, this doesn't quite go, it's close to the yellow, right? And then I have the pink, which fits over here. And then we have the blue. So it's fitting within the color families. The die that I'm using for this, whoops, here we go, is this really, really sweet die. I have the link for Dress My Craft down there, and I forgot to put a direct link. So after the video is over, I will put the direct link. But this one, and I just used, it's stuck. I did 1, 2, 3, but there's a bigger one. There's even a smaller one. And these are the daisy flowers. So there's 5 of them in here. They're really cute. And so I just picked ones that fit on for the card size. Worked really well. For this particular one, we're going to use a little bit of glue. So whatever wet glue, this is the Smart Craft glue from scrapbook.com. Works great. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So the key to this is you want to see a hint. So this is all about seeing hints of color in the background, really keeping it clean and simple, but just that little hint of something. So a hint behind each of the flowers to match the color of the paper. So we're going to put a little dab of glue on each one of these little flowers. And then when you place the same size on top, place it and then just slightly off center it. If you want to go totally off center like that, there's nothing stopping you. But this is one where I want to see just a hint of it. So it's really a personal preference. And that's the nice thing about doing a wet glue for this is that you got a little room to groove, right? And then same for all the others. So just go in and just a slight little hint. Not much, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Little smidgen right there. And there we go. Oops. I had glue on my fingers, so it's wanting to stick because I put too much glue in that one. That's okay. There we go. Hope everybody's having a good day today. It's my first Wednesday with no kids at home. They're all at school. It's so weird. It's a very strange feeling. And then you have your choice. Now for this thanks, I did my sticker maker. I ran them through, but I think since I have my glue out, I'm going to do my glue. So I'm just going to do a couple of dots here and there on my thanks. I don't want to overdo it, and it dries clear. So even if it kind of pokes out the edge, I'm not too worried. And then place the thanks on. Once you get all the pieces die cut, this is a really, really easy card. So, I kind of went through and I die cut all the pieces at one time, and then I was set. So it's just a little shadow. And if you've noticed, I did a different color for the shadow on the thanks. Here I did pink, and then here I'm doing that kind of, I don't know, what color? Is it green or is it yellow? It's hitting in between. The package says metallic olive green, but it's not really olive green. I always picture olive green being a little darker. So I feel like it kind of hits both the green and the yellow vibes. So we're going to go with that. Now, this is the mistake I made when I did this card. I put the thanks down and I put it too low because I wanted to be able to fit a flower at the bottom. So I'm going to play with where I want to put all of my elements first. And maybe for this card, I'll put the thanks all the way at the bottom and have all my flowers at the top, just to switch it up a little bit. There's nothing to say that you can't have, my finger's sticky. Downside of wet glue. Here, I gotta rub my hand, get the sticker off, get sticky off. So what do we think about that? Is that a little better? I like the thanks in the middle. It kind of cuts it though. I don't know. What do you guys think? I know I like my big flower kind of on this separation. Do you guys like the flowers up top? Do you guys like the flower where it's, maybe I'll move my thanks further in the center and move this flower further up. Maybe I'll put the bigger one down here. See, so many ways to change it. You guys are quiet today. How about that? Change it up a tiny bit. Maybe line this up here and then have a little accent piece, because that could work. No, I kind of like this further over. There's no wrong way to do this, right? Thanks in the middle. That's what we're going to go with. All right, here we go. See, I like your interactions. So just little dobs of glue on here. Oops, not too big dobs of glue. There we go. So just keep on adding. Again, I could use my sticker maker for this. It just depends on what you like to use. Some people like all different kinds of way to put these little delicate pieces on. So thanks goes there. And I keep my flower in place because then I know that it's not going to get misaligned. So then I come in and I place a little dab of glue on each of these. And this glue sticks really well. So I did it with the same stuff and like it's on there, right? Thank you, Mary. Oh, hey, Mary, I haven't seen you in a while. How's your show going? Mary Gunn has this really cool show. It's called Crafty Roulette. And she goes live. You have to tell us. Is it every Friday? I think it's every Friday night. And she has a really cool fun. She brings on a guest and they chat, and they make cards together, and it's just a ton of fun. So they have a blast over there. So now we just need to add our little sequins. And this is some sequin packs that you can get from Dress My Craft. They have a whole bunch, and you can get all the Dress My Craft stuff over at scrapbook.com. That's a beautiful, fun thing about it. And sometimes they're on sale, and they're really pretty stuff. Every Friday night. See, you guys got to go check it out. She brings different people on. I was one of the guests on her show one night, and it was a blast. We spin the wheel to determine what kind of card you're going to make. So you never know what you're going to get. And she changes up her wheel, and it's just a ton of fun. So if you guys want us to go see a live show, and then you can follow the same, whatever they're picking. There's like, I think is there 3 or 4? Oh, and leave a link. I don't know if you can leave a link on here, but if you want to pop a link up, or I'll put a link up for Mary's site. That's way too much glue on there. So we're going to take some off, and I got to get a paper towel now because my fingers are all inky. But if you're watching the show and you want to follow along with whatever was spun, so there's like a color and there's a size and there's all these kind of fun things on there, you can submit your card and she'll show your card on her show. So it's a really cool interactive show between the guests and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really cool thing. So go check out Mary Gunn Fun Crafty Roulette. So she's on YouTube and Facebook. So I don't know, do you still stream on Facebook or just YouTube? There it is, Crafty Roulette Live. It's cool. It's fun. All right. So I've got my little pieces. Oh, I don't have my sticky thing. I'm going to find it. Here it is. I had to find my little katana. I forgot to pull it out earlier. So, crafting on the fly. Forgot to grab a tool. And then I'm just placing a matching color of sequin here in the center. And oops. Okay, here's the deal. I don't know if you guys noticed this. When it comes to sequins, I feel like there's a cup side up and a cup side down. I feel like I always have to do my sequins with a cup side up. I feel like it looks better and I feel it sticks better. Do you guys have like weird things like that? I don't know. I'm weird like that. All right, so pick this up, pop it down. There it is. Look how cute. I love it. So it's showing a simple flat. Anna, thanks. In the middle. Are we that much of a delay? I'm not sure. Link for Erin. Oh, there we go. Oh, the show I was on. Yay, it was a good show. Thanks, Mary. So if you guys want to go check her out, she's on Facebook right now. So she's at Craft Roulette Live. And then, yeah, you can check out her show. But she's every Friday night. It's lots of fun. So this is a really easy card because look how flat that is. That would not be a problem going in the mail, but it really has a dimension to it because you're adding that shadow of the color behind the flowers. And, you know, whatever pattern paper you have here, that's what you're going to match with your colors of the flowers in the back. And if you did a white background, you stick with a white flower on the top. If you did a craft background, then you would do a craft flower and a craft thanks. So it's a great way to use some of your dyes. If you did a black card, so the black, then your flower would be black. So it's matching, it's keeping it clean, or you can play around with it. There's so many ways to kind of play with that. So it's really cool. All right, so that's our first card. It's the offset flat flower. That's what we're going to call it, the offset flat flower. It's kind of weird. It's kind of fun. All right, the next one we're going to do, sorry, there's fuzz, is this beautiful flower. This is on a clear card, and this is the squished flower. So this is multi-layers and lots of squish. Now, this is not a flat flower by any stretch of the imagination. It could turn flat, but the technique we're going to use for this one, it's going to keep its dimension. And this is a big wow factor, and it doesn't take a whole lot of work. It's just a lot of die cutting. So once you have all your pieces die cut, which I have done it ahead of time, and I'm going to even show you how to do little stamens in there. It's really pretty. That's what these little guys are. Aren't they fun? Okay, so I have taken, and this is because it's a very, very full flower, and I did it in a different color so you guys could see a change. So here we have all of these beautiful pieces, right? And then I also have the greenery stems that go behind it. So the dies I used for this one, I did this one. This is the flower number 1. And it comes, I did every single size, plus I did 2 extras of the big guy, purely just because we're on a clear paper. So this card is a clear card. So see how like you can see the paper through the card. So I needed to have a backing on here so it wouldn't be a problem, right? Thank you, Mary. So what do we do? Oh, and then the other part that I cut out is oh, these little pieces right here. And again, I'll link all these directly. And this one is the foliage and leaves number 5. And I did every single one. So that's all of these. And I did these in the cardstock that's from Dress My Craft. They have really, really nice cardstock. If I can get it out of my pack. So I did, is that the right one? Nope, I have a different, it's a different one. Here it is. So different, this is maroon. So we're doing the card in maroon. And then the greenery is done. And they have nice, I think it's really nice thick cardstock, bottle green cardstock, 10 sheets. They have it in 12 by 12 and also 8.5 by 11. So I did the 8.5 by 11. Okay, so what are you gonna do? First step is you're gonna ink all of them. Now for this card, it was in this family color pack, and whatever color you want to call that, but it came in a cardstock pack where it had all these different shades of yellows, so browns to yellows. And so I picked one that went with the background paper, and the background paper we're using for both these cards came from this Botanical Scripts. So I just picked a pretty background. I mean, look at, you could pick any one of these papers. We're going to do this one for this card, but look at any of the papers. Like I would pick a pink flower to go with this one. For this one, I would pick an orange or a green flower to match the colors of the card. So I wouldn't pick a color like that. I would pick a really, so all these really bold pattern papers, you're like, I don't know what to do with it. This is what you do with them, right? So you don't cover it up, you overlay it to really make it shine. So here's another really pretty one. You could do a red flower like this. This flower color would work really well with it, right? So first we're gonna ink. Now I did a yellow ink over here, and you could do brown. That is the other one, because the paper we're going to use is right here. Brown would totally work for this card, or white could kind of work because there's a lot of white here, but I really didn't want to go there. So I'm just picking a darker color red. And then I'm going to just kind of go over. And so what's going to happen is, you see, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's very, very slight. The color, it gets a little darker around the edges. It's not super in your face dark. It's just a hint of it. It's just a little hint of a little extra something on the edges. And if you notice, I'm not getting out a dauber or anything fancy. I'm just getting some color and some kind of dimension to the edges. And yes, you will get inky. That's part of the card. So just go through and ink them all. This is the boring part, but it's kind of fun. Put on a good show. As I was prepping all these, I get into watching these different YouTube videos, and it's my getaway YouTube video. I leave these plain. I don't do anything. There's all these little pieces. So I was watching Sailing La Vagabond as I was making these cards. So as they're traveling around all around the world, I'm here making pretty flower cards. Okay, leave 2 flat. Just kind of set them aside. Don't do anything with them. All of the rest of these, what you're going to do, just get yourself some plain old water. I just have an old Tattered Angels that I dumped what was in there, and then, put it in there. And then just do a quickie, little spray, and then scrunch it. Scrunch it. Get in here and scrunch the crud and out of the petals. What the water does is it activates all of the fibers in the paper and makes them kind of give more. And then when it dries, it'll hold its shape better than if you just scrunched it. So I'll show you. If you just scrunch this without adding water, it doesn't do as good of a job. You don't get all the cool creases. There's water on the table, so I'm going to add that. Extra water on the table. It's activating the ink I put on the cards. So really get in and smash them. Flowers are not perfect. So the more you make them look imperfect, almost the better the flower looks in some ways, especially if you're doing a very dimensional flower. You want it to be all squishy and fun. All right, so just get them wet. Plain old water. Water is amazing for that. Okay, so now we have all the squishiness. Here we go. Oh, this one got really wet. So if you got a little over wet, just take a paper towel, and I'm just going to blot it because I just got it a little too wet. There we go. Okay. Now, just set those off to the side to dry for a minute while we prep the rest of the flower, or the card, I should say. So this right here is my clear paper. Okay, and I cut out, this is 11 by 4 1/4. So it's a card that opens like this. You could do it the other direction. And this stuff is from this stuff called Duralar. And it comes in 9 by 12 sheets. There's a whole bunch of them in here. And these are great because you could even do, they're heat resistant. They have all kinds of things. You can add color to it. You could stamp on it. They're glossy, but it's non-tearing, lays flat, heat resistant, the whole thing. So it's a really cool card. It's really going to make sure I get all this cleaned off. Clean off your clear because you don't want to make it mucky. Clean off your space. All right. And then you're going to fold. And you could, I just eyeball this. I kind of take my nail and I flush it right up against the center. And then I take my bone folder and once you make a crease on this, there's kind of no going back. So make sure you've got a good crease. Make sure your pieces are right next to each other. So really push hard. And there is your card, right? Easy peasy. I then took to make the entire backing of the card. So I could have done, there's another way. If you don't have a huge sheet to make a full card, you could do a small cut right here and just make sure the front side. And then you just glue this because really, truly, you're not going to see the entire backing of the paper. So if you don't have giant sheets, but you have enough for a front cover and a little bit on the back, then you could just glue the top. But I had enough of, I have a big sheet, so it just makes it easier. Add your adhesive. Oh, also, if you've got really pretty pattern paper where it's double-sided, this is a really great way to show that double-sided paper because you'll see it on the back. This one's just single-sided, so it's just white. So it's a great way to do a double-sided card. But, white works as well, so don't worry about it. All right, so you're going to open this up, place it right in the crease, and then fold it on down, and then just have it stick. And so now you've got the card in the back and the clear paper in the front. All right, and just make sure you have a nice good crease. Now, how do you get it so that you can actually write on the card? And I forgot to do the other half of this, and I don't know where my part went. I think I threw it away. So, well, it's okay. I forgot to do it on here. So we'll do it both ways. So on this card, if you notice, we have this brown paper right here. It's craft paper. When you open it up, you could match it on the other side, and that's the portion that you write on, right? Or you could match it on the bottom part, which is what we're going to do. We're going to match it right here. So when you open it up, you can write on the inside of the card. So I have a piece of craft paper. I've already cut to the 4 1/4 on the side. And then now I'm going to show you how to do the cut. Move my flowers off the side. So when you get your paper trimmer, let me move this out of the way. Sorry, way too much stuff. I have like everything just off camera so I can show you guys in a pinch. So I found that 1 1/4 is the best, and I want to have it be an angle. So if you're looking at this card, see how it's got a bit of a slant? I just think it looks kind of nice, right? I don't want it to be too severe. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take this corner and put it at 1 1/4. And the other corner, I'm going to decide, okay, do I want to have it be 1 1/2? Or do I want to have it to be 1 3/4? So you can decide, or I can have it go all the way to 2. So it's however much of a diagonal piece that you want is what you're going to go for. I'm going to go for 1 3/4. So I just want to add a 1/2 inch diagonal slant. So I keep my 2 corners, place my paper trimmer down, and there I go. So now I don't use this side anymore. I flip it over this way, go back to 1 1/4, and I place that right on the piece right here at 1 1/4. Oh no, first, sorry, I forgot to take off the crafty roulette part. Sorry, right here. And then go to, there we go, 1 3/4 to give my 1/2 inch. So as long as I've maintained my same dimensions, you have 2 matching pieces. See how that works? Easy peasy. Now I can move that off out of the way. All right, and now I'm just going to lay these down. So the first one's going to go right here on the top of the paper, right there. Make sure, I'm going to make sure that this is all, like, because you can't see the clear paper, but I can see the pattern paper below it. So I'm using the pattern paper as my guide to where to lay this. There we go. So now I have a place to put a stamp and to make it all look pretty. And then you can have your choice. You could put this right here, and then that would be the piece you're writing on, because maybe you don't want to see, whoops, maybe you don't want to see all of the sticky. I don't feel like I can see the adhesive through that very much, but I want to be able to write, and I forgot to do it on that one. So I'm going to take this piece, add my adhesive, and I'm going to line it up right here. And I could have done this in white, but I thought craft was a good complementary color to the card. So, and it gives you a place to write now. There it is. So it just kind of hides. Then you open it up and you have a place to write. You could do it on the back side, because if you want to have a clean inside, then just do it on the back side. It just depends on what you like. So options. I love giving you guys options. Okay, so now it's time to build. Oh, let's do our stamp first. I just picked a really easy thanks stamp. Whatever sentiment, whatever, you know, strikes your fancy in terms of what you like and what, you know, calls your attention, then that's what you want to do. Now open my card. Notes, don't stamp it upside down, because that's not good. And thanks. Oh, I wobbled that. Oh, it still came out okay. So you see me? I totally wobbled that. Don't wobble your stamps, people. And you could stamp that before you stuck it down. I just happened to do it after. All right, so just a simple little sentiment. Happy birthday, anniversary, a really pretty sentiment, you know, something that could go long ways along there. You don't have to have your floral piece come down into there. I just didn't want to leave it too plain. Lots of options. Okay, so how do we get everything stuck to the front of the card without it looking like a giant mess? Sticker maker. So we are going to take the 2 flat pieces that we left flat, and we're going to take all of our florals, okay, all of our viney pieces, and we're going to run these through. Make sure I have inky side up. There we go. And then all of my vines, they all go in here. All the kids in the pool. How many funny little anecdotes can I make in one video? You know, I've already said easy peasy, all the kids in the pool. How many others are out there? I can have fun with that. Why not? Okay, Rub against the top and then peel off the top layer here. I feel like this is better than doing glue because glue gets really slidey on the plastic. So I just find this works better. All right, take your first layer of your flour. And the cool thing about this is it gives you adhesive all the way through it. So it gives you a good coverage on the clear plastic and it's less likely to be seen. And then I'm just going to make sure I don't have any little stringies and cobwebs kind of hanging out. Place it down right here. Now you could place this over here. You could have fun with it. I'm choosing to go here. I actually probably should have gone on that side. Too late now because then you'd be able to see more of the pretty pattern paper, but you can still see it hiding in the background there, right? Take the other one and you're going to go opposite. Oh, get rid of my little, oh, sorry. One more step, sorry. Before we do that, we're going to place our greenery down. So peel it off. And then this one, you really want to make sure you get rid of your cobwebs because you will see them on the clear paper when it goes to the other side. And I don't want to see that. Okay. And I'm actually going to, this one, I had them go really long. This time I'm going to have them go a little bit closer in. So it's just a little spray coming out, right? It's not going to be crazy. This one I had left really long, but we're going to keep this one closer in. So a little more overlap. And then the other flower we have is covering all that up. Okay. So I'm going to go a little closer in here. There we go. And then we have our last spray. You could keep it as 2. You don't have to add a 3rd. I'm like, but you know, the die set came with 3 and I feel like I want to put 3 on there. Can you remove the cobwebs with the rubber? Yes, you can. But what I've noticed, and I don't know if this is going to show up on the camera, is that once it sticks to the paper, it's much harder to get. It almost like it acts like, it makes it like you see the residue behind on the clear paper. If it was regular paper, it would be totally fine. But because this is clear paper, I just feel like there's a little bit more of a residue and it's hard to get that off. So as much as I can get rid of my little cobwebs now, the less residue is on my card. So this is just me being, you know, persnickety because I don't want to see it. I didn't do as good a job over there, but you know what? From this glance, you really can't see it, right? Okay, so now I'm going to have this one come up here. There we go. Look how pretty. So there's the beginning. So you have to start that layer. Then this is why you did 2 flowers. Now you're going to come in and you're going to go the opposite direction. Sorry about that. I don't even know where my phone is. It's hiding. Oh, it's right in front of me. It's an alarm. It's going, hey, you've got half an hour before your kids come home. First kid comes home. So now we're going to go in opposite direction, really fill out the flower. If you didn't do that, just to show you, when you put your first flower on, do you see how it starts feeling kind of empty? It doesn't feel like it's as full, and there's a lot of greenery you see in there, and it just doesn't look as complete as this flower. So to kind of fill it up, and I didn't want to see the greenery from this side either. So that's why I was like, I want to put a flower down, put my greenery down, and then you put another flower over top to kind of cover it up, clean it up a little bit. Plus it just makes your flower look more full. All right, so now I have the base of my flower, which doesn't look too bad. You could put a really pretty something in the center if you want, but we're going to make it a flower. I'm going to go back to my wet glue. All right, but before we do that, we're going to add our little stamens. So there's a whole bunch of really pretty stamens. This one, look, I mean, look how many come in here. There's a bajillion of them. There's a ton of them. Here's an orange pack, right? And then I did the yellow, and there are different shapes. This one's got a much longer top. These ones are more ball-like, and they're really cool. They're, again, from Dress My Craft. Like, they have really cool flower making supplies. I absolutely love it. And I don't know if I'm doing it the way everybody else does it, but this is how I add the stamens to the center of my flower. First, I grab all the pieces that I want. And actually, this is too many. I just snagged some. And I want to try and find the center as best as possible to this. And if you've got some other cool techniques that you use to do this, great. But it worked good for me, so that's what I'm going to show you. All right, so find the center and then fold it in half. Okay, and then you feel like you double. I don't feel like I'm using as many of them now. I don't want to cut it yet because now I have a nice easy piece that we're going to pop through here. So I'm going to take a hole punch, a little tiny one too, not too big, and we're going to put 2 punches in next to each other to make the hole big enough. So 1 and 2. Oh, and I gotta pierce that so I have room. There we go. So it's just making the hole big enough to fit this mess through, right? Come on. All right, so now, and it's okay if they're not all lined up identical, totally cool. And I picked the lighter color because I felt like it would go well with the lighter color in the paper, right? So now we're going to push this through. Pull, pull, pull. And then see how I have a funny one that's sticking up right there? I don't know if you guys can see that. I got to find where it didn't pull through all the way and finish it. And I think it's right here. So I just got to, there. So pull it through and finish it. And then you have it as tight. If you want to make them higher up, you can push through, you can make them looser. I want mine kind of tight, and it creates a really pretty center to your flower, right? Okay, so now we're going to kind of split the difference on these guys. And my favorite supply that I love to use in the crafting room, which I think I stuck it back in my drawer, tape. Tape to the rescue. You just need the tiniest little bit. I'm actually going to take one piece and then my scissors, which I also, I start cleaning up my space because I'm like, why do I have all this stuff out? And it's like, oh, because you used it. And then you forget that you used it. Silly me. All right, so this is where you're going to be a little careful. You want to trim the end, otherwise it's too big and too thick and too bulky, right? And then split the difference on these guys. Take your first little strip of tape and just make sure it's clear tape. And you're never going to see that little bit sticking out. If it bothers you, then just go make sure that you're not going through the holes of your flower. Take another little strip of tape and make sure you do both sides. I spread it out that way it wasn't so thick of a flower. And then there's your center. Okay, whoops. There's your center. That's not so hard, right? Now we get our glue back out and we start layering our flower. Now, these have all dried. They don't take long. And see, like they're in their shape. Because it got wet, you guys can't see that. Because it was wet, they have all formed. This one's still a little bit wet. And it's because I smashed it with a paper towel. So it'll keep drying as we set it, but they're in their shapes, like they're holding their dimension, right? So it's really kind of cool. And now you have these really fun flowers that are like holding their dimension. And start layering your flowers. So a little dab of glue, and you go down in order by size. So I like laying them out in order. See how I put them in order so I don't forget. So you take your first one and just decide. You got wet. This is why I like using wet glue for this, because I'm like, I want to go there. And for this first one, no big deal because it's not wet and it's kind of big. Then you go in with the next one. And then you place this down. And it's going to get harder and harder. Notice how I didn't go the same direction. I went opposite. Okay. And then I take a tool and really push down with it. You can use a tool like this. You can also use a tool like this. You can also use the edge of your scissors. I mean, just the back of a pencil. Pick your tool. Doesn't matter. Whatever you feel like grabbing. Another dab of glue. Really squish it in. And notice how it's starting to kind of like cup up. So see how it's starting to get some dimension, because all those ridges of the paper are forcing it to create a three-dimensional flower. It's really pretty. So again, this is not a card. This is not a flatty card. This is a three-dimensional card. We go up like that, push down. There we go. And then our last one, dab of glue, and push down. Oops. Now this one I like to get in with my little piece right here because I really want to make sure that it sticks, and just kind of hold it for a couple seconds and then you're good to go. And that's as hard as that gets. So here's keeping some centers that are very, very similar in color. And here's a very opposite color, like a very, very stark color to the center of your flower. And so you can play around with that, have tons of fun. And look how pretty those are. So this is keeping very long stems, and these are keeping them a little closer to home. And then when you lift up, and you can see the whole inside of your card. Isn't that cool? I think these are pretty cards. I love cards with flowers. And then matching the tones, the colors, and all that stuff. Sorry, my light's really crazy. There it is. Ta-da! So this die was, and I'll add the link directly to this die after we're done. It's this one right here, and it's called Flower Number 1 from Just My Craft. That's what this one made right here. Cool, right? And I'll put the link directly to it when we are done. The last card, uh-oh, where'd it go? Where'd my card go? I had it. Oh, literally, I'm like all looking over here. It's right here. like literally right here. Stupid me. All right, the last card, I'm so sad, is this guy right here. And I actually did this as a pre-made video, so we're gonna show you. It's all it's super detailed, so you guys can see it all. But here is the video clip.
So the card base we're gonna make today is a mini slimline card, which is you're gonna use a 6x6 sheet of paper and you just fold it in half. There is so many different types of mini slimlines out there, but I find this is a really cute size to work with because it works with so many different sheets of paper, from 6x6 to 8.5 by 11 to even this cutie little pack from scrapbook.com with boho smooth cardstock. So for this card, I die cut out 3 little flowers from the poinsettia die set from Dress My Craft. And I did the 3 smallest flowers. We're gonna make 2 sets of flowers. This is just 1 of 2. And I'm just taking a little dauber and some of the Make Art dye ink and pink peony from Wendy Vici, and just kind of hitting the outside edges of all of these flowers, just giving you a little bit of texture. Push in the center to start shaping your flowers, and then kind of start turning around and then pushing on each kind of leaf. Notice how it's kind of curling up and adding a little bit of 3-dimensional texture right here. The same for all 3 of the flowers, hitting each one of the petals if you want to rotate it again, and then pushing in the center. And it really does kind of give it that 3-dimensional popped look. So you can really see how much curvature there is to it. Once I've formed all my flowers, I'm gonna take a little bit of scrapbook.com Smart Craft glue, and I'm gonna put a little dab of the glue right in the center of the biggest flower, and then place the next size smaller flower there. And I'm just using Wendy Vici's little tool here to kind of push it all together. Now I like to make sure that my flowers are not lined up too perfectly, so they're a little bit off center from the one below them. Now it's just about placing a trio of cute little gems in the center of each of the flowers. These are from the Bow Bunny Double Dot Jewels, and this is in the Mocha collection. So while my flowers are drying, we're gonna work on the little cute spray, kind of the bauble spray that goes in the background. And I die cut out foliage set also from Dress My Craft, and this is their number 7 collection. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut out a couple of sections of these. So there is a gold metallic re-inker. Re-inkers are awesome for a variety of reasons. You can use them to obviously re-ink your ink pads, but you can also use them as just coloring tools. So I'm just using another dauber. As you can tell, I've used this for a lot of the gold. I like to keep my color families the same. And I'm doing this on the station. If you notice, I'm using the Wendy Vici Make Art Station, and I am just dabbing it on there and coloring it to make it perfect. If you wanted to use just gold paper, you could do that as well, but I thought this would be kind of like a pretty shiny and really like lustrous effect on the cards and have that little shimmer and shine on there. Scrapbook.com has a ton of Christmas sentiments. This one is from Heartfelt Christmas. It's got a variety of different shapes of saying Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays. This one came from there. So I'm just gonna stamp this up real fast, give it a couple of good layers of ink. So now it's just time to put everything together. I'm gonna use my Scrapbook.com adhesive tape runner and attach the craft paper to the background, which is sized down by 1/4 inch all the way around. Then attaching vellum with these beautiful gold snowflakes, making sure I only add the adhesive to where there's gonna be other layers so you don't see it. And that's again down by 1/4 inch on all sides, so 5.5 by 2.5. And then a strip of white paper, and then a strip of the beautiful darker shade of rose from that boho cardstock pack. And then lastly, cutting a little fishtail from my Merry Christmas that we just stamped to add to the side as our sentiment. I start by placing my flowers onto my card to make sure I like the orientation of where they're at. And then each flower is gonna have 2 of the leaves, so I just kind of place them in there loosely. And then lastly, where the little spray pieces go, and kind of tuck them in where I feel like those should attach. For this particular card, I am totally cool if things are kind of hanging off the page and they're not exactly within the space of the 3x6 of the card. I kind of like it like that. So now once I have everything kind of lined up as a dry run, I'm gonna pull off the top 2 pieces, which are the flowers, because they will go on last, and they'll cover up everything that's underneath. Go back to my Craft Smart glue from scrapbook.com, and I'm gonna start with the little bobbly pieces first, and just a little bit of glue right on the tips here. You don't need much, and then place them down. And then lastly, just add a little bit of glue to each one of your flowers and place them onto your card. And you have a little bit of wiggle room with the fact that you've got some wet glue. But if you don't like the exact placement of it, or you want to kind of maneuver things around, or things aren't where you want them to, that's the beauty of using the wet glue.
So here is the final card, and I couldn't find my other one. I made it a little while ago, but it's like there's two different colors and two different versions of the same card. This one's a little bit of a darker cardstock, and then there was the lighter one. So the difference between this flower and this flower is that this flower is all scrunched up and very, very three-dimensional. I mean, you can just take a look at it. Whereas this one, we didn't mess with the leaves we didn't mess with the petals at all. Instead, we just gave it a little dimension by pushing it in our palm. So it's actually quite a flat flower in a lot of ways. Whoops, I don't know why my color just went bananas, but there you go. So super cute card, 3 different techniques, off-center cards, and that coloration is driving me nuts. I don't know why it does that. Something about the time of day, I guess, or I held it too close to the camera. I don't know. So off-centered cards, really easy, and this one's in white. You could totally do these in other colors. If you missed this at the beginning of the video, go back and check them out. But it's adding that hint of a color behind the white. We could also do it in black or crafts. The 3-dimensional cards, these are our smushed cards, and then these ones are our cupped cards. So you actually cup it inside, or cupped flowers, right? You cup it inside your hand. So smushed with water, cupped, and then just off-centered with a different color of paper. So there you go. I hope you guys have enjoyed all the cool flowers that we made today. Hope I taught you a little bit of something. That's the whole point, and they are a ton of fun. Links are down below, and as I get done, if you're watching live, I will add the links to, some of the links are already there. There's a lot of links already there. But I didn't get a chance to finish doing all the links to like the specific die for like this or like the floral. And then for some of the specific papers, but most of them are there. So I'm just checking to see if there's any comments here, any questions. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the information section, and I will check them out after you're watching on the replay, or if you're watching, if you leave a comment and I just missed it, or if I missed it as we were going through, happy to answer your questions. So don't forget to join me back next Wednesday for my card making Wednesdays. I'm aiming for 2 o'clock. I think I like this time. We're back at school with the kids now, so I'm not 100% on my timing, but I think 2 o'clock is going to be my good go-to window for when we're going to go live. Plenty of time before the kids come home and we're all set to go. So have an amazing, amazing day. Please don't forget to stay crafty and just create, and also stay safe. We're hitting some big numbers back here in Texas. So everybody just please stay safe and have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to give thumbs up and big old hearts. I would truly appreciate that. And I will see you guys again later. Bye-bye, everybody.